right. Hi, welcome to Masterminds, Chess Prodigies, an exhibition at the World Chess Hall of Fame. This show is going to be on view here until November 7th, 2021. So to give you a little bit of background about the exhibition, this show is about chess prodigies, players who are talented beyond their years. And a number of the artifacts are from our own collection, but we also have loans from around the world and around the country, showcasing the talent of today's brightest young players. So to get started, I'll show you kind of a fun and playful illustration. A lot of different people, when they come to the Hall of Fame, like to tell us their story about learning to play chess and that feeling of accomplishment that they got the first time they beat one of their parents or grandparents. And this is kind of a fun take on that idea, with this little infant who represents the new year defeating the old year, represented by this more elderly gentleman. And so this is kind of a fun take on the idea of a chess prodigy. And above that is a real chess prodigy, Samuel Reshevsky. And he is one of the first really well-known chess prodigies in the United States. He immigrated to the US with his family in the 1920s from Poland, and he earned fame around the world and around the country because he would travel around playing against a number of people, many of whom were much older than him. There are these really fun pictures of him with celebrities of the time, including Charlie Chaplin, who gave him an autographed picture of the two of them playing together, which Reshevsky held dear. Here he is in his little sailor suit competing against a number of really eager players. And here are, this whole wall has the stories of a number of other chess prodigies from around the world from the 19th century to the present. Part of this wall, which tells the story of a number of chess prodigies from around the world and in the US, are the stories of these two players. At the top, Leroy Muhammad, and below him, Baraka Shabazz. Leroy Muhammad was from here in St. Louis, and he didn't learn to play chess until he was 16, but he soon rose to the top of the game. He won numerous championships here in St. Louis, and then he also won the 1966 Junior Open Championship, where he won a game against Walter Brown, a future multi-time US champion and Hall of Famer. Below him is Baraka Shabazz, and she was one of the first African-American women to compete in the US Women's Championship. She also didn't learn to play chess until she was 12, but she also became accomplished really quickly. But like Muhammad, she left the game as a young person, kind of never completely reaching her potential, but still making a huge mark on the game. In this case, we have artifacts that are on loan to us from two of today's brightest young American chess players, Christopher Yu and Jeffrey Zhao. On the left here is a certificate of recognition that Christopher earned by becoming the youngest American international master. And the city where he lived also gave him the key to the city, this really charming pen that's between these two medals. To the right of the key to the city is a trophy that Jeffrey Zhao earned for his victory in the World Junior Championship. He's one of today's brightest American players. He rates in the top 50 players in the whole world, and he's only 20 years old. His medal from this year's online chess Olympiad is also on view in this case. The chess Olympiads are team competitions which feature the best players from around the world. And he was on the American team along with several other prominent young American players, including Annie Wang and Carissa Yip. And they won the bronze medal, quite an achievement when you consider all of the challenges that the players faced here with the competition being online this year. Part of the reason that we were inspired to do a show about chess prodigies was because our collection is so rich in materials about them. We hold the U.S. Junior and U.S. Junior Girls Championships right here in St. Louis. So we bring the best players from around the country to the nation's chess capital. You can see a number of players from around the world and the U.S. standing here in front of our own building by the world's largest chess piece in this photo from the Match of the Millennials, which was a competition co-sponsored by the Chess Club, the Kasparov Chess Foundation, and FIDE, which brought together a team representing the top talent of the US and the top talent of the world. The world ended up winning the match, but it was still a really a fun and positive experience for all the players who were there. We also have in St. Louis a really an important mission to try to develop more chess talent right here in the Gateway City. And the St. Louis Chess Club has outreach to a number of schools in the area, and they've reached over 75,000 students in 200 schools. And this is an example of some of the programming that they put forward. Today, a lot of that programming is online, but you can still go over to their website, and if you're a teacher or an individual, and get information about how to put together lessons for your kids. This is one of the highlights of the whole exhibition. It's a score sheet that we have in the collection that was from last year's Cairns Cup, a tournament that features the top female players from around the world. And in that competition, one of the top American female players competed, Carissa Yip, who at age 16 defeated the reigning women's world chess champion. And this is a score sheet from that game. And here's an image from that game as well. And it was a huge accomplishment for her. And it's also really special to us because that was one of the first, or the last big tournaments that we had here in person before the COVID pandemic shut everything down. When you talk about American chess and American chess prodigies, it's impossible to do that without talking about Bobby Fischer. Fischer's a member of the US and the World Chess Halls of Fame, and he won the World Chess Championship in 1972. He got his start when he was only 5 years old. He learned to play the game, and he quickly had some really impressive accomplishments, including playing a game called the Game of the Century against Grandmaster Donald Byrne. It's a game that people still look at today in awe. Here's a picture of him with one of his early chess mentors, Jack Collins. And they're playing at furniture that's actually part of the collection of the World Chess Hall of Fame and that we've had on view in the past. And paired with that is one of Bobby's early chess books. And you can see that he's inscribed it Bobby Fischer, and then very faintly underneath in red ink, New York, Earth, USA. And this is an example of a foreign language publication that Bobby was looking at a very young age. He didn't limit himself just to periodicals and books that were in English. He looked to try to gather the best chess knowledge that he could from around the world with the sources he had. We also have on view a score sheet that's a new acquisition in our collection against a player, Dr. Jenkins, and it was from a tour that Bobby Fischer went on around the country. And then several other photos of him from his early career. Bobby set a record as the youngest grandmaster at the age of 15, and that record stayed for a number of years until it was finally broken by Judith Polgar, another player that we have featured in this exhibition. Next to these artifacts from Bobby Fischer's career are artifacts from the career of the current world chess champion, Magnus Carlsen. These artifacts are in St. Louis, courtesy of Carlsen, and traveled here all the way from Norway. Among the most spectacular of these is this beautiful amber chess set that also once belonged to another world chess champion who was a prodigy, Mikhail Tal. And it was given to him after his victory over Botvinnik by a Latvian political official. Next to that is Carlsen's first World Chess Championship trophy. and then other trophies from his and medals from his early career. Carlsen is one of the most famous of today's chess prodigies, and here's a photo of him from his very early career. He learned to play chess at age 5, but he kind of lost interest and then didn't start playing again seriously until age 8. He quickly rose to the top of the chess world. One of his big accomplishments as a teen was when he was only 13, he drew one world chess champion and defeated another in competitions with fast time controls. Next to Carlsen, who set a number of records, is Ho Yifan, a past women's world chess champion who holds a number of records for women in chess, including the youngest grandmaster and the youngest women's world chess champion. Behind me are other artifacts related to other world chess champions, including Garry Kasparov and Mikhail Tal, who previously owned the chess set that I spoke a little bit about. The third floor gallery, which is where Masterminds is on view, is also the home of our World and U.S. Chess Hall of Fame installations. And people who visit St. Louis can come here and learn more about them, including some famous chess prodigies. Among them, Susan Polgar, who lives here in St. Louis. Next to that, we have 2 other installations with fun facts about chess prodigies, from the youngest grandmaster to fun quotes from today's current crop of talented players. Chess prodigies, real and fictional, have captivated the American public for a number of years. And last year was no different, with the Queens Gambit becoming one of the most popular shows on Netflix soon after its premiere. And here at the World Chess Hall of Fame, we've seen the effect that this story of a fictional chess prodigy who struggled with addictions and insecurity, kind of how that relatable story brought a lot of people to the game. We've seen people who visited us for the first time because they were really entranced by the story of Beth Harmon. And we also saw chess set sales go up in our award-winning gift shop, Q Boutique, by double this past Christmas. And this is a still from the show showing Beth at a chess table. Besides that, we have a story that's a movie based on a true story, Searching for Bobby Fischer, based on the life of Josh Waitzkin. And the title kind of refers partially to how after Bobby Fischer left the game of chess, people were always looking for who the next big prominent American player would be. After Fischer won the 1972 U.S. Chess Championship, membership in the U.S. Chess Federation nearly doubled. And we saw a lot more youth get into the game. And so this is one of those types of stories that's featured in this film. This pair of scorebooks are on loan to us from Alice Lee, a rising young American chess star. Just this past year, she won in the World Cadet Championships, which were held online. But these score sheets are from 2 of her earlier competitions where she made victories that were important to her personally. One is from the very first competition in which she competed on her own. Her mom mentioned that she didn't start playing chess until after her older brother, and so in this competition, that's kind of where she came into her own and was an independent agent. And then in another one, she came back from defeat to defeat a player who was rated higher than her. And so we're really honored to have these score sheets on loan to us from someone who I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot more from in the future. Alice is one of the youngest players featured in the exhibition, but we also wanted to make sure that we included the stories of people who didn't learn the game until later, so that we could show that no matter when you get into the game, you can still become an accomplished player. One of them is Giselle Aggressor, featured here in this photograph, who didn't learn how to play chess until she was 29 years old. And she learned how to play chess while she was on a transatlantic cruise. She quickly decided to start playing in U.S. Women's Championships, and she became the winningest person to ever compete in them. clutching 9 titles over several decades. This is from one of her earlier wins, but she continued to compete right into the 1970s, towards the end of her life. She's also a U.S. Chess Hall of Fame inductee. The Polgar sisters are 3 of the most famous prodigies in the game of chess. Their parents were interested in whether genius is created or born, and they aimed to make their daughters chess prodigies. Susan, the oldest, was really a trailblazer in the game of chess. She set many records for the first woman to enter the World Chess Championship cycle. She also was a future Women's World Chess Champion. And you can see her over here and in this photo. She lives here in St. Louis and has led the Webster University chess team to numerous victories. Sophia, the middle sister, set a record for the highest performance rating in a tournament in what became known as the Sack of Rome. And you can see that win celebrated on the cover of this issue of Inside Chess magazine. Judith Polgar, the youngest sister, became the strongest female chess player of all time. And you can see her at the right in this photo. She defeated Bobby Fischer's long-standing record of the youngest player to achieve the title of Grand Master, and she went on to become one of the youngest people to enter the FIDE Top 100, and also was the first woman to compete in the highest parts of the World Chess Championship cycle. She's a huge advocate for chess today, and through her programming reaches kids around the world. This pair of walls celebrates American chess prodigies. As I mentioned before, after Bobby Fischer won the World Chess Championship, many kids were inspired to take up the game, including ones like Joel Benjamin here, the first person to hold the titles of both U.S. Junior Champion and U.S. Senior Champion, which he achieved last year. Next to him is Walter Brown, the first U.S. Junior Closed Champion, and here he's posing with his trophy. And above him is Irina Krush, the youngest player to ever win the U.S. Women's Championship, which she achieved at the tender age of 14. And you can see her here in that competition. Next to them is Gata Kamsky, another hugely important prodigy who immigrated here at a young age, and he eventually won many U.S. championships, including his first at age 17. We also have a wall celebrating 4 of today's top American players: Fabiano Caruana, Wesley So, Lenier Dominguez, and Hikaru Nakamura. And all of those players started their careers at a very early age, and you can see some scenes from tournaments from their early years here. This case celebrates the United States #2 player, Wesley So, and he generously loaned us numerous trophies from his early career as part of this exhibition. Among those are ones from his National Junior Chess Championship in the Philippines, and the Certificate of Appreciation for when he held the title of youngest grandmaster at one point. Wesley learned how to play the game at a young age, and he noted that it's something that anybody can take up, no matter what their level of wealth or where they are in the world. You can make a chess set, out of bottle caps or pieces of paper, and we're really happy to be able to showcase some of his artifacts for this show. This wall celebrates an achievement that a lot of young players who are really talented try to shoot for, which is beating the record of the youngest grandmaster. And the current record holder is in this photo behind me, Sergei Karyakin, who achieved it at the age of 12 years old. Next to him is Sam Sevian, who's the current youngest American grandmaster, and he achieved his final Grandmaster norm right here in St. Louis, and this is a photo from that tournament. Above and below the photo of Sam are images of Bobby Fischer, who held the youngest GM title for many decades, and Judith Polgar, who finally beat Bobby's record. Since then, players have gotten younger and younger, and the standard for holding the youngest grandmaster title is kind of devised by days and months rather than years. Thank you for joining me on this tour of Masterminds, and I hope you'll be able to see the exhibition in person, but if not, you can learn more about it at our website at worldchesshof.org.